Hello everyone, my name is Abby Bliss White and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be playing with the Pat McGrath Complexion System. So I have purchased in the past the Pat McGrath foundation and was on the fence about it. I am someone who has dry skin, more mature, but I have the rest of the system now, the primer, the powder, as well as the new concealer and the blurring eye powder. So what I was going to do today is do the whole complexion system, give you kind of my thoughts on these products. So if you're interested in seeing how the whole Pat McGrath complexion system works on more dry, mature skin, then let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we are going to use the full Pat McGrath complexion system. So I know I'm late to the game. I did try the foundation before, but I was not in love with it. But then if you try the full system of the Pat McGrath, so using her primer, this is the Sublime Perfection primer, and you guys, I'm not a big primer kind of person, so in general I just use my skincare and my SPF would be my last step. But we're going to put this guy on today, the new concealer, her powder, and we're also going to use the under eye powder that everybody has been raving about. So let's go ahead and first start with the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Primer. Now I will say that yes, the actual packaging does seem a little bit cheapy. For instance, like my label is kind of lifting up and such, but the contents inside happen to be quite good. So again, this was one, I remember Penny telling me, Penny from Penn Smith Skincare, that she actually really liked this primer. And I am just going to smooth this all over my face, and it feels very hydrating, and it doesn't feel like one of those like totally silicone-y ones. It just feels very hydrating. So for me, when I had used this previously, it did feel a tad bit drying on my skin. It does have a touch of alcohol, this foundation, but so does Luminous Silk from Giorgio Armani. So I think that I got a little bit thrown off by that. I wore this the other day in a video and you guys were asking me what foundation I was wearing, that you said my skin kind of looked perfected and glowy, and it was this little system. So I am in the shade 9, and you really need to shake it up really well. It's very serum-y, and it does give your skin like a nice bit of coverage. So we're going to squirt this on just like this, and then I'm going to dot it on so nice and thin, so you can kind of build this up. And I believe this is a light medium with a little bit of cool or pink undertone. So I'm just going to put that on with my fingertips. I'm going to be using my Heavenly Complexion brush. I still have some on here that we'll use in a minute, and we are going to start to buff this into my skin. And I just found that it gives me like a super like natural looking second skin, but it definitely is going to give me a little bit of coverage. Buff this in with a brush. Then I'm going to bring you in a little bit. And I'm just going to show you the color. This is 9. And it does, you see, I think it's because of the primer. So before, when I had used this without the primer, I felt like it, you know, kind of felt drying on my skin. When you use it with the primer, it actually feels very hydrated, and it kind of peeks out and gives you a little bit of glow. Obviously you can use whatever primer that you own, but I do have to say I think there's a reason when they are creating products, the little system and such. I'm someone who likes those matchy kind of items. So this is 1 pump of the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection, and this is the foundation. And you guys, I don't know, I just have really been enjoying this. Gives me some nice coverage, but it honestly up close looks skin-like. So when I first tried this, it was kind of reminding me a little bit of the Luminous Silk, but just a tad bit more matte. But now that I'm using it with this lovely primer, it just feels really nice on the skin. Now I'm not going to powder down quite yet. I'm going to go ahead and use the new Pat McGrath, and this is their concealer, and I have this in shade L6, and this is pretty full coverage. So I'm just going to use a little here, right in those little dark sockets. And again, I don't usually put things totally under there. I'm just gonna kind of smooth it out, down and kind of up in that triangle. So just kind of like here. So I'm gonna just take this and I'm just gonna kind of pounce. You guys, this is definitely a little bit thicker and it has really nice coverage. So I am going to put that here. I'm hoping everybody had a really nice weekend. Can you see how this is going to brighten up that area? Okay, so definitely a little bit more of a higher coverage concealer, but then we are going to take, first I'm going to use her Pat McGrath. I'm going to use the Sublime Perfection setting powder. Sorry for the fingertips. And I'm just going to use a teeny bit. I have this in light, and using a little favorite brush from Sonia G, and I am just going to powder down. We're just going to set the makeup. And what I found with this powder, very light hand, otherwise I do find that it looks just a teeny bit cakey. Okay, then the magic that happens is I'm going to use a little bit of the Pat McGrath. This is the Perfection Blurring Powder for your concealer. So again, nice brightening powder. And then what I do is just take a little bit. This has a really nice tip here. And then I set that concealer underneath my eyes. And I don't normally put powder under my eyes. That's just going to make me look like 100 years old. But this guy here really does. It just brightens up. It sets that concealer. And I just have really been enjoying this guy. It kind of does give some magic to your eyes. Okay, so far this is the Pat McGrath Complexion System. And I'm really enjoying it. So good to know using the whole system really does make a difference. I am going to warm up my skin a little bit, and today I am using the Terracotta. This is the Sun-Kissed Healthy Glow Powder, and this is in light. And I'm just using my Giorgio Armani kind of bronzer brush, and I just swirl it all around here. And then I'm just going to kind of put this on. This is giving me a nice little glow, and it has a little bit of kind of like a little blush color. We'll put a little extra blush on today, but just want to warm up my skin so you can see the finished product. I'm going to use one of my favorite pink blushes today, and this is from Sisley, and it is the L'Orchidée in Rose. And it's just going to give me a little pop of color here, right on the apples of those cheeks. I'm going to go put my eyeballs on really quick for the sake of time, and then I'll be back and we can kind of do a little bit of a check-in with the foundation. Okay. Okay guys, eyeballs are on. Due to sake of time, I split the video up, but I will be showing you this eye look using Pat McGrath. This is Platinum Bronze, so more of a cool toned bronzy eye. And then I pulled out one of my favorite, I am a fan of the Lip Fetish balms, and one of my favorites is Love Supreme. So it is kind of this bright, pretty pink, and these balms are just amazing. So if you are someone who likes kind of a sheer formula of lipsticks, I tend to go for those kind of sheer with a slight gloss in it, then you are gonna love this one. And one of my favorites is Blow Up, and that's just kind of like your perfect nude. And then this one's a little step up, a little bit brighter, but I find that it's just kind of giving my complexion a little bit of oomph and kind of fun for spring. So you guys, this is the final look using the Pat McGrath Complexion System. And I have to tell you, I've really been enjoying this. This was what I was wearing the other day in a video, and I had a few of you ask me which foundation I was wearing. In general, I do leave it in the description box unless I don't have room to do that. But this was what I was wearing, and I just have really been enjoying it. Now, I will say, yes, the first time I tried this foundation, I felt like it was very drying to my skin. Once I added the primer, I feel like it is sort of magic in a bottle because it's giving me the kind of coverage that I like. I like that medium. You could build this up, but it feels like nothing on your skin, okay? So you are getting kind of that coverage that you want, but it's so thin that it just feels like nothing, kind of like skin. And then of course putting the whole system together with the powder. And then as far as the concealer, I do have another video coming up. Some of you wanted me to compare this one to my Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. I will tell you right off the bat that this one has more coverage. So this is going to be fuller coverage, but I have found so far it is not too drying for my more mature eyes. And I think the key is I do find that setting it with this little powder here, this is the Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder, just kind of sets it, but it brightens up your eye and it doesn't kind of fold into my wrinkles as the day goes on. So very surprised, you guys. Mandy from Mandy Davis MUA had told me this is sort of like magic, and so if she says it's magic, I gotta try it. So anyways, this is the complexion look. I hope you enjoyed this look, and I will have another video coming up with this little eye palette. So if you're interested, that'll come up next. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you had a fantastic weekend, and I will talk to you guys soon.